give you some different images to look at and think about from the surrealist women. That's your passion, right?
So, I'm going to be talking to you about surrealist games. All of these slides that you're going to see are surrealist artists. I tried to choose women surrealist artists. And I'm going to read from this new book that I have. It's called Irrational Knowledge, and it's based on a surrealist game called Irrational Knowledge of the Object. And the first slide that you're looking at is another surrealist game, which is they were just trying to choose which mythological creatures they would be. And so you see some of the surrealist artists, the men, and some of the surrealist women. And this was just, they would play these games just to try to get out of the structure of the rational mind. This is just a game that they were playing, but a lot of them involved, of course, getting them to write. They would do automatic writing. You'll see a slide that's an exquisite corpse. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And so this slideshow is kind of a surrealist game, because it's timed, and you'll just see it flip, and I'll read, and things may correspond or they may not. But we shall see what happens. So Irrational Knowledge of the Object is a series of 26 questions that were asked to surrealist artists, and they answered them playing this game, and so I took the questions and wrote the poems, so each title is a question. Is it diurnal or nocturnal? Crowned in the sheaves of loss, an absolute and glory for a bound, this dissimilar in the wake, prettied as any dolly, turns up its keyed grin, pockets of gingham and ginger naps, lively blue eyes, rushes, turned over sound, mixed cottage to branchings, alike candied gumdrops to open out a gorging, violent flutters at the catch, a fairy tale dripping with dead-eyed handsomes, legends bound arms and ankles, the clever princess clipped. This is Claude Kuhn, and you'll see collage was another one of the surrealist games. It's probably one of the most popular games that you see in art, still used today. Is it favorable toward love? Yellow for arms and neck to neck, that the crease where double curved and the sleek and outline are rougher draft. What is one tummy away from to edge where the darkened color, attempting of styles and gestures, whittled down to the finger-sized paintbrush, and what was shadow between two, what meat in back of a semicircle jaw, pinchers tasting a gentle thigh, crinkled skin to rough-tongued kiss. What happens if it is submerged in water? The sweet mouth touch to the knot, the whirl in the plank, a kiss in the forged works, a lull drops patiently, grass tilted to the sun's heat or baked down to a balding patch. In water, knowing your stock and trade, a search and seizure droplet by drop, and so does the laugh, the water on the skin unpleasant. So does the angle of your latest features. Your special blind spot leads you to a narrow road of exception. This is an example of an exquisite corpse. So the exquisite corpse worked both in images and in language, so that someone would draw an image, and then they would fold it, pass it to the next person, and that person would draw. And so you would create something without having any knowledge of what the other participants were drawing. And in poetry, you would write a line, fold it and pass it on, and the next person would write a line. So you're collaborating without any sense of what the other people are doing. What element does it correspond to? A geography of letters take you as a guide, a threshold, a soft rustling, to be winged as in night roaming, small separations, to isolate under glass. It's predictable as nature and then nature, a pattern to be traced, veins in the leaf, leavings, the path water takes. always cut from memory. This line as well, called from your own nearest exhale, always imbibed, more so once known. This is Ethel Cocoon. She was a British surrealist. She was born in British India. And she created three types of, she was an artist mostly, although she did write a novel as well. She created three types of surrealist games that involved some automatic drawing and using charcoal to dust charcoal on pictures and so forth. So. What disease does it remind you of? Marriage in the rotting state is the exsanguination of flesh, empty husk to have and to hold, dear, dear misinformed. What you imagined is walled rooms or entry halls. Each house is a sorrow, a never-ending horse. Silence in its manufactured hours, ring-tailed, this unnatural and succulent, unable to resist, picked scabs in the deep well, inched into on removal. I have one poem that corresponds to the slides. This is called Mirrored Image. Both feet positioned beneath the outtake, like in Kalos, what the water gave me. Thinking about water lying in the bathtub, the movement of sunlight distilled through the fishbowl or the whole city balancing on a delicate plate of glass, then the fires burning on the surface with no way to extinguish. The wheel turns, its fortunes spin again. Dorothy circles in her compact bowl on the second floor for 3 weeks. We're not in New Orleans anymore. Someone dropped a pile of house on each of us. Then there's the dreaming time. There lies a watermark you can only see with both eyes closed. How we wander amid a lost city should seem surreal. Decimated, war-ravaged, picked to pieces, but it's real time reflected back like the crepe myrtles that laid down among the clouds on our lawn and the water you parted to reach our front door. Alice Rowan was an artist who went to Mexico and actually stayed for a while with Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera for a period of time. She had her first showing in Mexico. I'll go back to our irrational knowledge questions now. With what historical personage may it be identified? The first beloved disturbed his dream, a source like a sun. It's a game that questions, like a meadow, a place of chaos, oh, opener of fields, like my own little architect. I build a dreamscape for swimming, concerning angels and their orders, a needle's eye that slims me, often not mine, my bleeding sheep, and I pull their woolly ears and change their minds. Any message not so different, to history or any hill danced upon, sweetening the meadow. How does it die? Desired word unbounded, asked questions never answered, weaving among lines surrendered among shoulders, a spiral for melody, a spiral water-driven and phrased, heart hard as leather, a dream not yet walked out on, dearest climbers of ivory towers, to put this song gutter down my sad face, galloping away this world without you is an impossibility, hoofed in an octave, strapped in the volta, it was 1,000,000 to 1. And this will be my last one. It'll be the last. Where on an armchair would you place it? In the diminutive, cornered where edge runs, an ashcan tossed ankle to ankle, teetering in the vellum, couched in nods. I ran a slipshod shanty, glued sequins on maps and gazed starward in the unraveling of the 23rd century. Instinctually, they flee that sometime we did etch in blazing spheres, a fiery, fired-up tongue lashing barebacked in the saddle, all the long moan down. Thank you.